Today, let's make a purse together. The process is very simple. If you don't want to gather all the materials yourself, you can buy a very affordable kit that includes the basics. It comes with a plastic canvas, metal clasp, chain, 2 semicircles, needles, and safety pins. To complete it, we will also need some yarn. I have yarn art macrame cotton here, which is perfect for the size of the squares in the canvas. I'll also be sewing a lining, so I have some leftover satin fabric with a floral pattern. You can use any fabric you like. For some bags, I've used cotton canvas for the lining. We'll also need some sharp scissors, a pencil to trace the shape of the lining onto the fabric, and invisible thread for sewing the lining. This is a nylon monofilament thread, and pins. This side is shorter, and this one is longer. I will start on the longer side. First, I will outline the entire canvas. Here's a picture of what it will look like. I will provide the picture for download so you can have a detailed look in case you are unsure where to insert the needle. I will cut a piece of yarn. Don't make it too long. Just prepare a length that you'll find comfortable to work with. Not too long, not too short. We will have to join the thread at some point, but we don't want 50 knots. You can either make knots or weave in the ends, as they will be hidden under the lining. For a small bag like this, we will use about half a skein. I'm threading the yarn through the needle. I start by inserting the needle from the bottom into one of the edge squares. Leave a tail that we will tuck in later. Now insert the needle from the top into the third square. Pull the entire length of the yarn through. Again, insert the needle from the bottom into the next square and from the top into the third square. It's simple, and we'll continue this way around the entire canvas. Try to sew with moderate tension, not too tight or too loose. I've been looking forward to sewing this bag again. I made one in mint color and really liked it. I have to say, it was a very relaxing process. So I couldn't wait to film the tutorial for this pink bag. Compared to my usual beaded project, this is a pleasant change because the work progresses much faster and the result is much more substantial in a shorter time. I will always point out places where you might hesitate or encounter problems. Now I have reached the corner, which might be the first place where you are unsure how to proceed. I will continue around the curve, maintaining a length of 3 squares, even though in the bands they might not be perfect squares but irregular openings. I turn it this way and keep going along the edge. We'll be sewing in a straight line, and here you can see we'll be sewing across more squares. Here we will sew not across 3 but 4 squares. I will show you when we get there. If the needle doesn't pass through easily, don't be afraid to push a bit harder. Personally, I have never had a plastic canvas break. Of course, I can't say it won't ever happen, but I've made quite a few of these bags and it hasn't happened to me yet. Here I've reached a spot where the canvas widens. I'm continuing in a straight line. Again, I have a transition here and I need to stitch around this part too. I will count the squares again. 1, 2, 3. I insert the needle here and continue in the same way. As you can see, it narrows again at the end here. The needle won't fit into these openings anymore. So from about this point on, for the last 4 squares, we will create a step. There will be a bit of a jump here. If you prefer to handle this differently, that's completely fine. You can adjust the pattern to suit your needs. Here the needle still fits, so I will thread it through here. For this small hole, I won't pass the needle through and instead will thread it through the adjacent square. This will create a step. Here I will continue around the curve. To make it align nicely, I will pass the thread through one square twice. That's okay, it's sometimes necessary. When we finally stitch around the outer edges, we will do this quite often. I will turn it like this. You can see the step here. I will do the same symmetrically on the other side. Here I will pass the needle through the closer hole and continue in a straight line up to this level. I've reached the end. This is another place where you might wonder how to proceed. We will keep a straight line. I insert the needle into this large opening. Then into the next one. Again into the same opening. And then into this one. Again into the same. I'm trying to create a curve here. From here I will continue straight. If you want to handle the curve differently, that's no problem. I've just shown one of several possible solutions. I've stitched a significant portion already. I will continue stitching in the same way until the end. I insert the needle into the first square and then into the third square. To make both sides identical, I will stop 3 squares before the end and continue in this way. Now I need to add a new thread, so I will show you how to hide threads and add new ones. I will thread the tail onto the needle. I will turn it to the back side and hide the thread inside. Then I can safely cut it off. I need to attach a new thread to this short piece. I will prepare a new piece of yarn. I will turn it to the inner side, which won't be visible. I will tie a knot, simply joining both threads together. I'll pull it tight. Since there will be a lining, I found that making knots works best. Not always will the thread end at the spot where you can neatly weave it in, and the knot is less visible in the end. I'll turn it back and continue working. I won't show the whole process here as it's exactly the same on both sides. Now we just need to finish this last part. For those who might be unsure, I'll demonstrate how I do it. There's nothing tricky or complicated here. And done! Now we have the entire edge stitched. I finished here at the bottom. Next I will start stitching for the inside. If you count these empty squares, you will find there are 34. So I will divide them into strips 5 squares wide. 5, 5, 5, and in the middle there will be 4 squares. That makes 34 squares in total. Here's what we need to achieve. To create this pattern, I will insert the needle from the bottom here and stitch diagonally to the left. Down here, I will insert the needle into the adjacent square and stitch diagonally to the left again. I will make 5 of these diagonal stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This sets the width of the strip. So I will not continue here, but I will go upwards. Again, stitching diagonally, I will continue to the end, keeping the comb width the same. Oops, you can see I made a mistake here. I should have inserted the needle here, but I put it here instead. No problem, I will just reinsert the needle into the correct square. Mistakes happen sometimes when sewing. I will continue this way up to the top. During the sewing, you'll often run out of thread. The simplest solution is to join a new thread with a knot. I will prepare a new piece of thread. I'll turn the work to the back side and make a simple knot. Pull it tight and cut off the excess threads. Alternatively, you can weave in the ends on the back side. You will be joining a new thread many times, so this will happen in the middle too, where there isn't much space for weaving in the ends, but it works well on the edges. Now I can continue working. Here we can see I'm nearing the end. I will show you these last rows in case you are unsure about how to narrow it down and where to insert the needle. And the last stitch. I'll just turn it. Since these threads point this way, I will make the next ones in the opposite direction. But the principle is the same. I insert the needle into this square and make 5 diagonal stitches again. Three, 4, and 5. This sets the column width, and now I will continue upwards. Again, up to the end. I'm at the end of the second column. I will finish it the same way as the previous one. The next column will be just like the first. I will make 5 diagonal stitches again. Two, 3, 4, and 5. And then I will continue upwards again. 3 columns are done. The pattern is starting to look nice. Now I will sew the middle row, which will be 1 square shorter. So instead of 5 diagonal stitches, I will make only 4. I will show the beginning again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I will continue upwards. This middle row will be narrower. Then there will be space for 3 more columns, which will be the same as these, 5 squares wide. As you can see, I finished the entire inside. Now I will stitch these 2 sides. I will sew this side like this and the other side like this. I'm not happy with this larger gap here, so I will add another stitch. If you don't like it either, add another stitch there as well. There, that looks better. Now we need to get over here. We can either tie a knot and cut a thread, or we can pull the thread under the other stitches. These lines point downwards, so I will make them go upwards. I'm doing it exactly the same way as I did the inside, continuing to the end. This is what one finished side looks like. Here you can see I've narrowed it again, and since I already have the thread here, I will sew this semicircle. I will pause the tutorial for a moment because I realized I attached the semicircle quite low. It's right on the verge of making the bag tip over when it's on the chain. Place the ring higher up, ideally around here. Feel free to make several stitches in one square to completely cover the metal. This is how it looks sewn on. I will do the same on the other side, stitching in this direction. Both sides are done. This is where we'll attach the chain. But before I start sewing the lining, I will attach this part of the clasp. I'll turn the work and fold the bag like this. The bag will look like this. Here are the side panels. We'll sew these sides together. If you want, you can secure it with safety pins to hold its shape. This will help us place the clasp correctly. The clasp will go here in the center. I'll attach both parts like this. Place them in the right spot. And pierce through. To make it easier to handle, I'll unclip the back part. I'll check again to ensure the back closes correctly. The clasp should be in the center of this narrowest column. I will unclip everything. Attach the back of the clasp. And spread the metal tabs to secure it. I will just adjust the threads a bit. If you need an exact measurement, it's about 7 centimeters from here to the edge if you have the same kit. I will not attach the other part of the clasp yet because I will sew the lining first. I will trace the outline of the bag on the fabric. Cut it out and leave some space for the seam allowance. Fold and pin the fabric edges. This is what it looks like pinned. I will cut a piece of invisible thread, thread the needle, and sew the edges gradually. I will tie a knot at the beginning. I will leave some space here because I'll be hemming it with the pink yarn. I will make small stitches to attach the fabric to the base. I will sew the lining all around. The stitches are barely noticeable. The lining is now sewn in and I can start sewing the shape of the bag. To sew the edges together correctly, I will use these plastic stitch markers. I will cut a piece of thread and start sewing. Since we already have the lining, we can't tie knots on the other side. I will insert the needle somewhere here. I've cut a long piece of thread because I don't want to join a new one while hemming. I will go back through the same square, heading towards this edge. We will choose the simplest hemming method. First, we will sew the back side, then the front side. Once I start hemming, it will all tighten up and I can cut off the excess thread. I will do it this way. Feel free to make the stitches denser. So where you feel it's needed, go through the same square twice. Sometimes just once, sometimes twice, depending on how it feels to you. It's holding firmly now, it won't move, so I can cut off the excess thread. We will continue this way around the entire edge, and I will point out any spots where you might hesitate. Here's the first spot where you might hesitate. I'm stitching this hole where it starts to curve. Now I will continue straight. I will stitch all the way to here, where it starts to join again. I will join it like this, so I know where to insert the needle. I have reached the end here. I will not cut a thread, but I will pass the needle to the other side. Now I need to cover this part. I will go back here. Now I will sew the front side. I will sew the side in the same way. If you remember, we added an extra stitch on this side, so I will add one here too to make it symmetrical. First, I will stitch this small section, then I will continue downwards. I've reached the end and now I need to hide the thread. I can cut it off without worry because the stitching is very secure. Now I will attach the second part of the clasp. This clasp is attached with small screws. Some clasps have sharp teeth inside and just snap together. It varies. I will place it like this to position it correctly. And screw it in. Attach the chain and it's done. I hope you enjoyed making this bag with me today. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more creative tutorials. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you are going to make a bag like this or share your own unique creations. Follow me on social media for more behind the scenes content and sneak peeks of upcoming projects. Thank you so much for watching and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day and happy crafting. Bye!